When you look at the works of Ryan Coogler in cinema, he frequently merges elements of realism with fantasy throughout his films on the big screen. Not only is he an award-winning director, but he's also received recognition for his nuanced and accurate portrayals of the black experience, and for eradicating prejudices and misinterpretations that have long plagued the film industry. However, what distinguishes Coogler's work from the rest is his desire to go beyond what is deemed realistic, employing his imagination and vision to subvert established cinematic norms and push the frontiers of what is conceivable on screen. In the 2022 BAFTA Awards, during his acceptance speech, Coogler speaks about some of the past winners of the award.
You got Lorna Sharvik and Spike Lee and Paul Greengrass and Marty Scorsese, to name a few. These are filmmakers whose work I deeply admired, whose films I studied in hopes that I could aspire to some of their artistic brilliance when I was shaping my own short films, let alone feature films.
Coogler talks about being inspired by the works of filmmakers like Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese, who is known for his use of real-world environments and diegetic sound, and using their ideas in artistic brilliance throughout his work. But this isn't about Scorsese. This is how Ryan Coogler crosses the boundaries of realism. But what actually is realism? FilmLifestyle.com states how realism in film is all about creating an illusion of reality, and it usually refers to writing, speech or theatre. If a piece of fiction is labelled as realistic, then it must represent a clear reflection of the real world. Warren Buckland, the author of film theory and contemporary Hollywood movies, researched a practice called conditional realism, where he quotes, "A fundamental tenet of cognitive film theory is a basic assumption of what I call a conditional realism. In spectator response, the realism in this equation stems from the following. The spectator has emotions and effects in response to narrative events in a film that suggest she perceives and responds to a fictional world in some of the ways she will perceive and respond to the actual world." Ryan Coogler utilises this method of filmmaking to create a realistic plotline and immersive experience that viewers can enjoy through relatable characters and emotions that are portrayed throughout his films.
Don't freeze when you see her.
What are you talking about? I never freeze.
In Black Panther, Ryan Coogler blends various styles and techniques by injecting political commentary, science fiction and fantasy into Marvel's cinematic universe. In Terence McSweeney's and George Stewart's book, Contemporary American Science Fiction Film, they discuss Ryan Coogler's take on realism and genre development. They quote, "The slim wedge between science fiction and alternate history, and between magical realism, and thus provides Black Panther with two very different effective charges, depending on which of its two possible genres takes interpretive priority. The movie's portrayal of Wakanda, a made-up African country that is both technologically advanced and culturally rich, generates a feeling of belonging that feels both magical and realistic. The film combines traditional African cultural themes with cutting-edge design and technology, overcoming established genre borders, speaking to a broad demographic by fusing these various approaches." In the book Engagements with Contemporary Literary and Critical Theory, author Evan Gottlieb analyses Black Panther's Afrofuturism. He quotes, "With its Afrofuturistic aesthetic, strong female cast and complex villain, Black Panther successfully leaves audiences recognizing that the future of technology, of race, and gender relations, of globalization is yet to be written." Ultimately, Coogler's film is remarkable, not only for bringing Afrofuturism to the Hollywood blockbuster, but for also doing so while retaining Afrofuturism's commitment to imagining a better, more beautiful tomorrow. In Fruitvale Station, Ryan Coogler combines subjective filmmaking methods with documentary-style realism to produce a film that is both raw and emotionally compelling. The institutional racism and police brutality that have afflicted black communities for decades are firmly depicted in this film. Grant's story being conveyed through Coogler is a crucial step in providing individuals who have experienced injustice and police brutality a voice. The use of handheld cameras and naturalistic lighting lends the movie a feeling of intimacy and immediacy, while incorporation of flashbacks and dream sequences adds a dimension of personal interpretation to the narrative. Coogler manages to make a film that seems both intensely personal and socially relevant by blending all of these different approaches and methods, forcing the audience members to face their own prejudices and presumptions about race and power. The way that Ryan Coogler depicts black culture in Fruitvale Station is based on reality and authenticity. His attention to detail can be seen in the soundtrack of the movie, which includes songs from the Bay Area artists, as well as in the use of regional slang and the accent. He creates a setting that feels realistic and true to life. Through the use of sound design and music, Coogler transcends the boundaries of realism in his films. For instance, Coogler and composer Ludwig Göransson collaborated on the score for Black Panther, which effectively encapsulated the movie's themes of cultural identity and creativity by integrating traditional African rhythms with contemporary hip-hop beats. Similar to this, Coogler's soundtrack for Creed was both nostalgic and modern, perfectly reflecting the film's ideas of heritage and reinvention. By utilising music and sound in this way, Coogler can produce atmospheres and feelings that go beyond the realm of realism. Ryan Coogler's use of realism is a key element that sets his films apart by drawing from real life, events and experiences, using filmmaking techniques that create a sense of immediacy and urgency, and casting actors who bring authenticity to their roles. Coogler's films feel grounded in reality, exploring real-world issues in a way that is both impactful and emotionally resonant.